Every place has two histories, the one you can see and the one that was buried, scattered, and almost forgotten. Out here in Central Florida, the trees don't just hide the past, they keep it. I came to Webster looking for a cemetery. Not just any cemetery, but one tied to Florida's early pioneer families, the Giddens. What I expected to find were weathered headstones, names carved in stone, and a clear connection to the past. What I found instead was something far more complicated. My search led me to Smith Park, a small, quiet patch of land tucked along Smallman Street. There's a sign here, one that tells you exactly where you are, Old Giddens Cemetery. But step beyond that sign and something feels off. There are no historic graves, no rows of headstones, just a park, and a story that doesn't quite line up with what you see. According to the historical marker, the story begins in the 1800s. The Giddens family, Jesse, Patrick, and Charles, moved south from North Carolina into Georgia and eventually into Florida as the frontier pushed forward. By the mid-1800s, they had settled along the Withlacoochee River, building lives, raising families, and becoming part of the early fabric of this region. Some served in the Third Seminole War. Others would go on to fight in the Civil War. They weren't just passing through, they stayed. And here's where the story begins to split. There wasn't just one Giddens Cemetery, there were two. On the west side of the river, members of Jesse and Charles Giddens families were buried in what became known as the Giddens Homestead Cemetery, sometimes called the Oriole Cemetery or Oriole Lake Cemetery. Stone markers were used there. Some of them still exist. But on the east side of the river, where we're standing now, Patrick Giddens and others were buried in a different cemetery. This one, the Old Giddens Cemetery. But unlike the cemetery across the river, this one didn't survive the same way. The graves here were marked with wood, and wood doesn't last. Over time, the markers disappeared. Then came development. In the 1960s, this land was subdivided. Roads were pushed through the area, some cutting directly across the old burial ground. And then, something unsettling happened. Residents began finding human bones in the road. Descendants of the Giddens family pushed back. The county got involved, and eventually a decision was made. Part of the land would be preserved, not as a cemetery, but as a park, Smith Park. So what you're standing on today is still a cemetery, just one without visible graves. No headstones, no markers, nothing left to clearly say who rests here. Only a sign and the knowledge that beneath your feet, this ground hasn't forgotten. We came here looking for a cemetery. What we found instead was a story divided by a river, erased by time, and nearly lost to development. It's a reminder that history doesn't always disappear all at once. Sometimes it fades in pieces. A marker here, a name there, a road laid just a little too close to where it shouldn't be. If you know of a place like this where the past doesn't quite match what you see, tell me about it in the comments. And if you believe these stories deserve to be remembered, subscribe and come explore the forgotten with us.